Welcome back to Music Kingdom. A little while ago, I was hanging out with a buddy of mine who happens to be a metalhead, and we were talking about my channel, and he asked me, have you reviewed Pisces by Jinjer yet? And I remember thinking, have I reviewed what by who yet? And then it dawned on me, I have gotten requests to review Pisces by Jinjer, as well as requests in general to review songs that have that metal growl. And so, in this video, we will be listening to, giving a music theory breakdown for, and blindly reviewing Pisces by Jinjer. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is Francis. If you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, and you appreciate not just reactions but in-depth reviews and analysis of songs, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. Alright, now before we give the song a listen, first let's briefly talk Pisces by Jinjer. And honestly, there isn't that much information out there. They seem to be more obscure. But even still, I love my history lessons. Pisces by Jinjer is from their second official studio album, or fourth overall if you include the EPs, titled King of Everything, released in 2016. To my knowledge, Jinjer is a Ukrainian metalcore band formed in 2008. Interestingly, none of the founding members remain with the band, and the current lineup considers 2009 as its official year of formation. The story goes, back in 2012, the lineup self-released the EP titled Inhale, Do Not Breathe, and Jinjer began relentlessly touring on their own funds. The band has also mentioned many influences for their music, including Slayer, Death, Pantera, Lamb of God, 12-Foot Ninja, as well as Opeth, Textures, and more. All in addition to other influences of other genres such as R&B, soul, funk, jazz, reggae, and hip-hop. Very cool in my opinion. Now regarding the song Pisces itself, after several tours around the world, they would eventually release their second full-length album, King of Everything, and along with it were two singles, one of which called I Speak Astronomy and the other Pisces, which became popular on YouTube. In 2021, Metal Hammer placed Pisces at number 74 in their list of the 100 greatest metal songs of the 21st century. And then, in March of 2022, it was reported that Jinjer had paused their career to focus on relief efforts in Ukraine after Russia invaded the country. In June of 2022, they announced that they received permission from the Ukrainian Ministry of Culture to leave Ukraine and tour as ambassadors of the nation. Super cool stuff if you ask me, and it's no wonder that they would seem to have such a loyal following and fan base. Now, something else also worth mentioning before we give the song a listen is a brief but important disclaimer, which is, on this channel, I start with the studio versions, and then later on I'll watch the live versions to appreciate that contrast. Now, the reason I bring that up and make it abundantly clear is because, to my knowledge, I have heard that the preferred version of this song is live. And I'll never forget when I reviewed a song by the band Nightwish, I got so many comments disgusted at my sheer audacity to listen to the studio version first. So if you're in that camp, apologies, but I'm sure I'll get to it eventually on this channel. Alright, at long last, it's time we give the song a listen, and just a heads up, I will be pausing a couple times to share my thoughts, but ultimately to avoid any copyright strikes. And as always, be sure to stick around after the song for a music theory breakdown from our expert, and then we're going to divide the song into specific categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Beautiful intro. Nice voice too. Pretty. Different instruments. It's subtly produced, but it's also well produced at the same time. Tastefully. Brings life without the Thoughts at this point in the song, honestly, the growling vocals are very welcome. I remember a lot of comments I've gotten on metal reviews I've done in the past, saying something along the lines of, he's not ready for the growling vocals, it'll turn him off. But that's simply not the case. First and foremost, I am a lover and appreciator of music. And I acknowledge that vocal style is nuanced. It's not just basic screaming like a lot of people would think. It's a skill that you hone and craft, and is very impressive to pull off and to pull off well. I also acknowledge that it's not my thing. However, I could say that snorkeling also isn't my thing, but that doesn't mean I dislike it. Now back to the song at hand, I will admit my exposure to the style of vocals is limited, but I will say what I've heard in this song so far is very tastefully done. And while I'm not blown away by anything in particular, I can still appreciate how well done the song is overall. I love the contrast as well. It's beautifully balanced in that regard. It's not too much of either thing. It's lovely writing as well. The lyrics. I love what the drumming has done in this song as well, rhythmically, time signature-wise. Love that. Oh man, insane drumming. Thoughts so far, it is a very well-balanced song, in my opinion at least, simultaneously blending elements of it being pretty and beautiful with epic and powerful. Tasteful writing as well, along with an intricate yet simple production. And I'm very curious to see how they wrap the song up in its conclusion. Beautiful touch of acoustic guitar. The song feels very intentional with its details. And it is an interesting composition, technically speaking. I love the suspense. Ooh. Combination of vocals. Both great in their own ways. It's a very engaging song as well. It stays fresh enough to where you're never bored. Alright, initial thoughts before we go to the expert's corner and before we grade the song. Honestly, a hell of a conclusion and even better than I was expecting. I love the touches of acoustic guitar as mentioned, and I love when they brought the two voices together, beautifully complementing each other, really driving home that perfect contrast of aggressive and soft. Even though in her own right, she was belting beautifully as well. Top to bottom, it was a very nice experience. I'm not sure exactly what I was expecting, but evidently very well done. As mentioned earlier, did the song necessarily wow me in ways that other songs I've reviewed on this channel have wowed me? No, but not every song is gonna be like that, and I can still appreciate its beauty. Now, regarding further specific thoughts on musical components such as the production, the lyrics, the vocals, originality, etc., I will elaborate on those later on when I'm grading the song. But first, let's go to the expert's corner for a music theory breakdown and to see how he grades the song's composition.
Welcome to the Experts Corner. This is Pisces by Jinjer, and I'm here to give it a composition score. This song is in many different time signatures, and it's in the key of A minor. I'm just gonna say right off the bat, I think this song's composition is wonderful. Not so much in its chords and melodies, those are good, but even more so in its wildly varied time signatures. The time signatures and tempos, they take you for such a cool ride. But let's stick a pin in that for now so I can show you something on the chord side. My favorite chord progression in it, I think it's really pretty. You've just got D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, and then walk it back down. In the context of the 7/8 rhythm that it's in, it sounds kind of like this. So extensions like that, the minor 7 and the major 7, they aren't like a huge deal in the world of music theory. When you really get into the weeds, those things are actually quite simple. However, in modern music, you just don't hear them used that much. So when I do hear them, I think it's just like an excellent little seasoning to put on the music, and it makes me respect a piece of music even more. Now, back to the time signatures. This song has a lot of them. While your average song has one time signature, this one has 4. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. I'm not super familiar with this song. I heard it for the first time yesterday and I've been listening to it trying to get a feel. But on my count, it's 4. You've got 7/8, which is what most of the song is in. 7/8, my favorite time signature. You've also got 4/4, 6/4, and 6/8. That is a lot of different time signatures to be put into a 5-minute song. And I think the way they did it is super impressive. Overall, I think this is a great composition. The music itself, while not over the top amazing, is still good. There's some wonderfully intricate melodies in there, some great rhythms, some really cool complex guitar riffs, and then of course, as I mentioned, the wonderful use of time signatures. This song's gonna get an 8 out of 10 from me. Back to you, Francis.
A very special thank you to our expert for providing a music theory breakdown and giving the song's composition a great 8 out of 10. And now it's time to divide the song into 4 more categories, grading them each, averaging them out, and arriving at an overall score. Starting off with the category of production specifically, I'm inclined to give it a very good, but not quite great, 7.5 out of 10. As mentioned earlier, I absolutely appreciate how tasteful it is. I love the atmospheric touches and sound effects. I love the touches of acoustic guitar, and other little things that mean a lot, like the decision to combine the vocals for that epic contrast at the end. However, otherwise, as also mentioned, it is on the simple side, and in my opinion, while it is well done for the reasons I just described, I also wouldn't say it's necessarily intricate or an otherwise outstanding production, which ultimately is fine and is no insult because it's not necessarily the type of song to have an outstanding production anyway. Up next, we have the category of lyrics, which I'm inclined to give a very great 8.5 out of 10. In my opinion, to a certain extent, the lyrics are the star of the show. Not to discount things like the solid composition or the well-done production or the epic growls. But when you really listen and or read along, for example, the vocals in this song hit even harder because of how well written the lyrics are. In my opinion, they're not only beautiful, but they're also very fresh, very inspired, especially when compared to other more normal lyrics in today's music industry and other genres, and are ultimately, in my opinion, what makes the song what it is. I'm not sure if the other musical components of the song would hit as hard as they do if they weren't anchored by the lyrics. Moving right along to our next category, which is vocals, and I will be giving them a great 8 out of 10. This one was a bit interesting for me, however, because I'm kind of grading 2 vocals in one song. On one hand, I was gonna give the female lead vocal a solid 7.5, and on the other hand, I was gonna give the epic growls an 8.5, so average them out. I think she did a very good job, just not necessarily a great job. Very pretty voice and showed off some power towards the end, but at the same time, not necessarily earth-shattering or out of the norm of a good voice. Now, regarding the growling vocals, as mentioned earlier in this video, I really want to respect the craft, the skill that, to my knowledge, it takes to hone in such a great way. While it's not my thing subjectively, I can still tip my hat to how well executed it is. And combined, top to bottom, a very solid vocal in the song as reflected by an 8 out of 10. Alright, arriving at our final category of originality, this one was a bit more challenging for me, but ultimately I landed at a 7 out of 10, which at the end of the day is good and respectable. Initially, however, I was going to go a bit lower than a 7. Maybe a 6, because while it is pretty, while it is epic, while it is overall a good song, aesthetically speaking, stylistically speaking, it doesn't necessarily sound like a very original song. It sounds like something I've heard before. And no, I have never heard the song before, but what I'm getting at is that it has this kind of familiar style or aesthetic or sound that I feel like I've heard before, say, maybe in the 2000s. If I hadn't have done my homework and learned that it came out in 2016, I probably would have guessed maybe 2007, 2008. Not to insult the song whatsoever, because as mentioned, I do think it is very well done. But speaking strictly for the originality component, I would have gone with a 6, but, as mentioned, the lyrics are so original, are so fresh, are so inspired, are so unique that I'm bumping it up to a 7. So now if we add it all up, including the expert's composition score, and average it out, Pisces by Jinjer from their album titled King of Everything released in 2016 gets a very good 7.8 out of 10. For all of the aforementioned reasons, you can see how we arrived at that final score. But of course, that's just our take. So obviously, in the comments down below, let me know if you think I am right on the money, batshit crazy, or somewhere in between. As well as what other songs by Jinjer or whoever else you'd like for this channel to review next. As mentioned, if you are a fellow nerd for music, such as myself, click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you'd like to support the work I put into these videos, you'll find Music Kingdom's Patreon and other affiliate links in the description below. This has been another edition of Music Kingdom. Thank you so much for listening with me, and I'll look forward to jamming with you in the next one.